Hi, I'm Pat. All right, what they've given us in this problem is this theta, in this case 300 degrees. What they're asking of us is to evaluate the cotangent, the secant, and the cosecant of that angle. Okay, so you're going to do some on your own as well, I know, and it'll be a different angle, but use this same approach. What I would do to begin with is to try to draw that angle. So for us, my theta is 300 degrees. Positive, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. Less than 360, so less than a full rotation. More than 270 though, so right about there. That's my theta. Okay, now we're doing that because my next step would be to find that reference angle. This is my theta prime. I know you've been doing your homework with that reference angle, that positive acute angle that the terminal side makes with the x-axis. Here's why we do it, is once you find that reference angle, in this case, realize it's 60 degrees. This is what's important, is once you find that reference angle, now we're going to come back to these trig functions that they're asking of us for 300, cotangent of 300 degrees. And we're going to realize that that's the same as the cotangent of 60 degrees, except I'm going to leave a blank in front, because what I have to decide yet is whether there's going to be a minus sign in front of that or not. And I know you would have learned this, but here's the point, is that we're able to find these trig functions of any angle. If we relate it to the trig function of the reference angle, it's only going to possibly differ by a minus sign. Okay, so I'm going to leave that blank for a second, and we'll come back and decide whether it needs to be a minus sign or not, and talk through the logic of that as well. But let's flesh out the rest of these other trig functions they're asking of us. The secant of 300 degrees will also equal the secant of 60 degrees, but I've left myself a blank again. Okay, cosecant of 300 degrees is going to equal the cosecant of 60 degrees. Again, possibly though with that minus sign in front. Okay, all right. Now let's talk through that logic. So whether or not to put the minus sign in front of each of these is going to come down to what quadrant you're in. So for us, notice we're in the fourth quadrant. That's where my terminal side is. Okay, so is cotangent positive or negative in that fourth quadrant? You hopefully remember that that is negative in the fourth quadrant. Okay, all right, let's just continue with this logic now then. For secant, whether or not to put the plus sign or the minus sign in front of that is going to come down to what quadrant you're in. We're in the fourth quadrant still. But secant, is secant positive or negative in that fourth quadrant? It is positive. Okay? And then finally, cosecant, fourth quadrant, is it positive or is it negative? It's negative. Okay. All right, but then we're not done with the problem yet. I still need final answers for each of these. I'll keep my color coding going for you if it helps, because now we get our final answer by knowing these green expressions. Every one of these trig functions of a reference angle comes down to some of our special angles that I hope you have in your head. So for instance, cotangent of 60 degrees. I know the cotangent of 60 degrees is square root of 3 over 3. Hopefully you're remembering that as well. Okay? Just so this looks good on the board here, is I'm going to bring that minus sign over as well, though. We had decided this minus sign, again, remember, because of what quadrant our 300 degrees is in. So this square root of 3 over 3 is going to be negative for me for my final answer. In fact, let's make that an official final answer for cotangent. Okay? Do the same kind of thinking for each of these others. Remember, the thinking is in green, secant of 60 degrees. I know that one. It's just 2. And then I try to remember, oh, that's right. I'm not doing secant of 60 degrees. I'm doing secant of 300 degrees, but they're the same, maybe different by a minus sign, but not this time because I'm in the fourth quadrant and secant's positive. So final answer is just 2. And we'll finish this off with the green, the cosecant of 60 degrees. That is 2 square root of 3 times 3. But I did have to put that minus sign because I was in the fourth quadrant. So the answer that we want is a negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. Okay. All right, that's the power of the reference angle. So I hope you're getting the hang of it. And it comes down to just knowing the trig functions of your special triangles. That's why we like it. So practice them on your own.